Okay, tying up some loose ends from the last video, I wanted to give you the formulas that you need. We went over an example like this, where you're trying to calculate payouts. So this is a bet where you're betting on a heavy favorite. They're minus 350, and you're making a $14 bet. All right, this is the formula you're going to use, and that's what you should get for the net pay if you win. You need this so you can solve for how much you expect to win, but also so that you can solve for EVs and house advantages, right? Here's what I didn't give you in the last video. This is the way this works for betting on the underdog, okay? This is the formula you're going to use. So for a plus 245 bet, right? So plus 245, if you bet 100, you'd win a $245 profit. $25 is the bet size. This is the formula you're going to use. 25 times 245 divided by 100, and that's what you should get there for the profit if you win this bet. It's always a little bit easier when you're thinking about an underdog, because actually all that value right there means is 2.45 to 1. Okay, so that's kind of what we're used to dealing with. This is the more confusing example, and that's why I wanted to go over that in the last video. Anyways, let's get back to where we were, which is thinking about balancing public sentiment. Okay. So part 2 of this lecture on sports betting, we talked about how sports books profit. Okay. To begin that, we discussed how they basically set their payout odds below what they should if they were using true probabilities in order to create likely profits. What we're going to talk about now is balancing the action, or in other words, considering public opinion. Okay? So let's say that France is playing Germany in soccer. And people are just betting on which team they expect will win. For you soccer fans out there, let's assume this one can't end in a tie, so it's either going to end with a France victory or a Germany victory. And this is the payouts that they have. They've done market research, they've analyzed teams, they've created models to figure out what the probability should be. They figure each of these teams has a 50% chance of winning, and so they base their probabilities this way. Okay? Obviously, they're not going to pay out even money, even though they have a 50% chance of winning, because the casino is going to put its profits into these numbers. Okay, and so this is a pretty typical thing to see. So let's say they set it up that way, and this is what happens. $50 million is bet on France, and $0 is bet on Germany. Think about how this would feel for a casino. Okay. Everybody's betting on France, no one's betting on Germany. Do you think this is a good outcome or a bad outcome for the casino? All right. 2 possible scenarios here, okay? Scenario 1. Casino is underestimating France. Okay? That's one possibility. Maybe France is a lot better than Germany, and the casino has made a mistake with its line here. Okay, that's one possibility. But another possibility that the casino runs into way more frequently is, for whatever reason, the public just wants to bet on France. Okay, noticing I made a mistake up here. I'm sorry. Should be Germany. So maybe what this is suggesting is if people are betting on France substantially, maybe they're underestimating Germany's potential in winning this game. I said that backwards. But here's the second scenario, and this is what's more likely occurring here, is that for whatever reason, the public wants to bet on France. Now, can you think about reasons why the public would want to bet on France? Well, maybe there's more fans of the French team. Maybe this casino is located in France, so there's more fans of the French national team. Maybe the public is overestimating France's ability for whatever reason. Maybe there's a player that people really like on the France team, or maybe people just hate Germans. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities here, okay? But let's just assume it is scenario 2, okay? So let's assume the casino has set their lines correctly. They've set their lines in a fashion that makes sense. What is the expected value for the casino? Okay, we could go in and solve for it if we wanted to, but if they each have a 50% chance of winning, is the casino, do they have a positive or negative EV? The casino should have a positive EV because the house advantage is already baked in here. But the problem here is, even though the casino has a high expected value, think about their volatility here. The casino stands to lose a tremendous amount of money if France wins this game. Okay? So it's not an outcome where the casino is likely to lose. They got a 50% chance of winning and a 50% chance of losing. If the casino wins through a Germany victory, well, that'd be great for the casino. But the casinos don't like risk. This is kind of an interesting thing about casinos. Casinos don't like to gamble. They like to set games where they know they're going to win. All right? For example, at poker games, casinos don't lose at poker games. They take a little chunk out of every out of the money out of every hand, and so they just gradually win. Right? They're not winning a lot, but they're winning a little bit all the time. The sportsbook's very opposite from that. If they have bets set up like this, the casino's occasionally going to lose huge amounts of money and occasionally win huge amounts of money. And they don't really want that volatility. Okay? So think about what they would need to do. They've been hammered by bets on France. So what they're going to do is they're going to adjust this. And maybe this is what happens in the first day where they have this bet available. Okay? But what they would like to do is to get more people to bet on Germany. So how are you going to get more people to bet on Germany, do you think? Well, you have to sweeten the deal a little bit. Okay? So what you might do is adjust these payout odds. This encourages more people to bet on Germany because now Germany is being paid like an underdog. And this discourages people from betting on France because now the payout is lower on a winning wager on France. Okay? So think about what that would do. The result is you get less money bet on France and more money bet on Germany. Okay? Now this is obviously an extreme example here because you're getting the exact counteraction in terms of the bet. But I wanted to start with some simple numbers. Okay? Think about what the casino here has done. By setting this new bet up, what they've effectively done is canceled out their old bet. All right? And you could do the math if you wanted to, but you can see now on these wagers that are coming in, right here and right here, the EV now is down to 0 for the casino. Right? The expected value for the casino is now $0. But the casino may be happy to do that in order to reduce that huge exposure they had to a potential of a disastrous loss if France won the game. Okay? And so this is what casinos will do. They'll adjust the payouts to encourage money on the side that's getting less bet. All right? Let me write that out in words. So to summarize what we just saw there, the casinos and sports books will increase the payout odds on the team that's drawn fewer wagers. In order to reduce variance or volatility. Just like you saw in that last example that we just went through. To reduce volatility, they had to sweeten the deal for those that might consider betting on Germany. Okay? Unfortunately, did you recognize that there was an adverse consequence of doing that? When we started out with that money coming in on France, the casino was actually in a situation where it had a plus EV. It had a positive expected value from that wager. Right? Because they think that France only has a 50% chance of winning, but they're paying them as if they have a higher than 50% chance of winning. Okay? So the problem here is that this reduces EV, or house advantage, for the casino. And that's what happens. When the casino makes these adjustments, it usually reduces the expected return that the casino is going to get. Okay? So this leaves casinos in a weird situation. There's no such thing as a free lunch in life or in nature. And that's what the casinos are facing here. A lot of times they have to choose. Do they want to be in a situation with a high EV? Or do they want to be in a situation with a low variance? So for casinos, they're often in this situation. Pick one. They can have a low variance or they can have a high EV, but it's usually very difficult for casinos to have both. Okay? And so what this means is the casino has to be very exact when it sets its line. Okay? We said in the first video that the casino's goal was to predict the probabilities, the true probabilities. Figure out what the likelihood of a team is for winning or covering the spread or whatever the bet is. They need to figure out what the likelihoods are. This is where they get their sharp gamblers in. They pay these guys to come in and set these lines. You may have heard about, Vegas handicappers. A lot of times these handicappers are people that work for the casinos that are anticipating what's going to happen. However, that's not their only goal. They don't just care about what is going to happen. They care about what the public thinks is going to happen. So they're going to be trying to predict the public's betting. Okay? Two things they have to do, right? They've got to think about the true probability, and then they have to think about what the public is going to do. And when these probabilities are really different, that's where it gets very interesting. Okay? So, for example, let's say that you are running an illegal sports book in Dallas. Okay? And you think that the Cowboys have a 30% chance of winning. All right? You think that the Cowboys have a 30% chance of winning, and you're in Dallas. If you're in Dallas, the public is still probably going to bet on Dallas, right? Even though Dallas has a low likelihood of winning, there's a homerism, right? People are going to tend to bet for the team that's in their home state. So they're likely going to bet for the Cowboys more than this. So maybe the public will bet as if the Cowboys have a 60% chance of winning. So now you're in an interesting situation here, okay? How would you set the payouts? Would you set the payouts as if the Cowboys have a 30% chance of winning? Or would you set it like the Cowboys have a 60% chance of winning? And a lot of people who know a little bit about sports gambling, they think they're getting really smart. They figure casinos just figure this. This is all they think about. All right? But that's not true. The casinos will gamble if the profit potential is high enough. So even though the Cowboys have a high probability of winning, even though the public is going to bet on the Cowboys, the casino may choose to still pay out as if the Cowboys are closer to that 30% range. All right? Furthermore, what complicates things here is even though you're maybe the only sports book in Dallas, people can still fly to Vegas and make bets. They can still make bets online. So they might be able to find a casino that's paying out at this probability. So you might be forced to kind of follow along with the crowd and set the lines similar to what they're doing in Vegas. So as a result, you end up with situations where casinos are in a very interesting scenario. So what you might end up doing let's say the Cowboys are playing the Cardinals in this example. These are our true probabilities of winning, okay? But remember, you know that the public is going to be betting on the Cowboys more readily. So what you might do with your payout odds is you might set it to something like that, okay? You're kind of towing the line between what the public is expecting and what you really expect the true probabilities are, okay? The true probability of the Cowboys winning is 30%, but you're paying them out here at a greater probability than that because the public is going to be betting on the Cowboys, okay? And so as a result, you might get $40 million bet on the Cowboys and only $6 million bet on the Cardinals. And in this situation here, this is a very interesting situation for the casino to be in. They're likely to win this bet, right? The Cowboys are probably going to lose, okay? But if the Cowboys get lucky, this casino is going to lose a lot of money, right? And so you might be thinking, well, why not just adjust the lines further? Well, adjusting lines further doesn't increase the EV for the casino. It only reduces their variance. They have to choose one or the other. Do they want a high EV or do they want a low variance? You usually can't choose both. So in this situation, the casino is gambling. And so sports books often gamble, either on purpose or unintentionally. I hope you guys understand what I mean by that, right? They care about the outcome of this game. They really care that the Cardinals win this game. They're forced to be in a situation where they gamble because they know the expected return is very high for this bet. That's what makes sports books very different from other games, all right? Furthermore, if you're a gambler, right, you might go in and bet on the Cardinals because you know the public is hammering down those Cowboys because they just love them so much. It's an interesting situation.